Tuesday, March 13th, 2018, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So I'll look at the markets today as usual. It's a little later than usual. It's 10:30 a.m. London or 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The US has gone forward. Their clocks have gone forward, but in the UK, it's not until the 25th of March. So I want to look at also what's happening geopolitically, especially to do with Russia. But before I go into that subject, let's see what's going on. Gold was doing fairly well last night. Before I went to bed, I looked at it and it was trading at almost, around 1326. But as usual, London came in a lot of times and it's come off. It's now, gold's down to 1318, down 4.62. I think yesterday the low was 1315. That is an important Fibonacci retracement, 1315. Silver, very steady, 1650, only down 2 cents. Range has been 1645 to 1659. The Dow is up 92 points, or 1/3%, 25,270. S&P up 7, up 1/4%. The NASDAQ is up 14, up 0.2%. Currency-wise, I guess what's driven gold a little lower is the yen. The dollar actually has rallied quite a bit against the yen, almost one big figure. The low overnight was 106.24, and now we're up 70 pips at 107.15. So that's what's keeping gold, down for the moment. The dollar rallying against the yen, while against the European major currencies, the euro and sterling, they're virtually unchanged against the dollar. So the dollar hasn't moved against them. Let's have a look at the 10-year yield. US 10-year yield. Let's have a look. We are at 288. So still, I have to say that it still looks like this yield wants to go higher. There is a lot of resistance in terms of yield and support in terms of price around this 290 level. After that, we've got 295. So still not out of the woods yet. We had a lot of supply of US Treasuries yesterday. So maybe, after that is gone through the supply, maybe the markets will start moving lower in bonds. You never know. Cryptocurrencies have been quite relatively volatile. Bitcoin got hit hard yesterday. I think early afternoon London. Right now we're at 9,180. Ethereum as well, 700. I think we got up to almost 740 yesterday. So still under pressure. LITECOIN 176. So yeah, the consolidation continues in currencies. So what about the geopolitics? Well, I have to say, when I go out and look at the papers in the shops, newspapers, for the whole of the last week, I've seen only headlines about this incident with this Russian, well, he used to be a Russian spy. He was caught because he started working for the British government. So he was a double agent. He was tried in Russia, and he was put in jail for being a traitor. They didn't kill him. But then there was a spy exchange or something, and they freed this guy, and he came to live here. And this is a big thing now. All we see in the papers and the headlines is about Putin. England is going to boycott the football or soccer World Cup. This is unacceptable. And yesterday, the Prime Minister accused Putin in Parliament. But don't forget, these are the same people who told us about weapons of mass destruction, who fiddle their expenses, You know, there's a big scandal years ago about how MPs fiddled, just basically stole thousands and thousands of pounds or hundreds of thousands or millions from expenses. And it came out in a mainstream newspaper, the Daily Telegraph. So these are the same people, just to give you an idea. Should you really trust them? I just thought it was weird last week, all the papers going on about Putin and, blaming him already for this incident in Salisbury with his spy. And I thought there must be something, that is out there. They're trying to provoke Putin. And I remember, I think also earlier this month, Putin came out, made a speech to a whole bunch of people in Moscow. I think parliament, all the dignitaries, about all the Russian weapons that he has, that he's prepared to defend Russia. And it just seems to be a lot of provocation. And I saw a headline this morning as well, Rex Tillerson. And I actually laughed when I saw this story, because this is what it says here. Tillerson, Moscow, clearly, in quotes, behind Skripal poisoning, will trigger a response. And this is what Rex Tillerson said. From Ukraine to Syria, and now the UK, Russia continues to be an irresponsible force of instability in the world, acting with open disregard for the sovereignty of other states and the life of their citizens. I really had to laugh about this, because here's the Secretary of State of the United States saying that Russia has open disregard for the sovereignty of other states and the life of their citizens. Well, Mr. Tillerson, has he forgotten all the South American countries that the U.S. invaded? All the military coups that resulted in deaths in Chile and other countries? Is he forgetting about Vietnam? Oh, really? Yeah, Vietnam. There's quite a few Vietnamese civilians were killed by Americans. Is he forgetting about, Iraq? Oh, yeah, that country they invaded on a lie. How many millions of people died there? Oh, what about Libya? Oh, that country as well, they invaded NATO, didn't they? I mean, it's ridiculous. What about the Ukraine? It wasn't the Russians that invaded the Ukraine. It was the Americans that instigated a coup in the Ukraine. We all heard Victoria Nuland's recorded message about the coup. Oh, what about Syria? Who's supporting the rebels in Syria? Oh, the U.S., that's right. The rebels who are made up of like Muslim Brotherhood, ISIS, and all those great people. So maybe, Putin was involved in this, but does he, clearly it's like the pot calling the kettle black. I really had to laugh at this comment by Rex Tillerson. So it looks like now the UK and the US are trying to distract the public from something. We don't know what it is, but it's usually something that they don't want us to know. So they have to create, a bogeyman like Putin, an enemy, and make us, trust them to do things that we would normally not allow them to do. It's the age-old strategy of divide and conquer. The Romans used it. People before them used it. It's the foreign enemy. We need to, get together. Forget about all our shortcomings, all our corruption. And the other thing that's really huge that I thought, and then, I hadn't looked into this. I try not to read the mainstream media too much because that's what you get. Maybe I'm uninformed a bit, but at least I'm not misinformed. I think it was Mencken, H.L. Mencken, who said that. I'm not sure, or it could be Mark Twain. But, you know, 2 days ago, let's see, yesterday, March 12th, dailymirror.co.uk. I read here the headline, Britain's worst ever child grooming scandal exposed. Hundreds of young girls raped, beaten, sold for sex, and some even killed. So, and this was from the Sunday Mirror. It says, Special Sunday Mirror investigations. Authorities failed to act over 40 years despite repeated warnings to social workers, with up to 1,000 girls, some as young as 11, abused in Telford. And I'll read a little more about this. Up to 1,000 children could have suffered in Britain's worst known abuse scandal, where sex gangs targeted girls as young as 11. The rape hell of vulnerable young girls in one town, Telford, went on for a shocking 40 years. The Sunday Mirror can reveal. As many as 1,000 children could have suffered at the merciless hands of perverts and torturers in Telford since the 1980s. So 40 years, you know, that takes us to right around now, you know, 40 years from the 1980s. And who was Home Secretary a few years ago? You know, the Home Secretary in the UK is like the Department of Interior, supposed to oversee the rule of law, you know, the police and everything like that. Theresa May, our current Prime Minister, you know. Girls as young as 11 have been lured and from their families to be drugged, beaten, raped in an epidemic that says victims is still ongoing. And it goes on to say here, and now I'm reading from the Mirror. I'm not making this up, and I'll put the link below in the description. 3 people were murdered and 2 others died in tragedies linked to the scandal. So, and then it says, Telford's Tory MP, Lucy Allen, is demanding a public inquiry. So it's very suspicious that you have this huge scandal come out in the major newspaper in the UK, and then all of a sudden all we hear about is Putin, how he's involved in you know, attacking our country, and then all this is covered up where girls were killed, raped for over 40 years in this country. So are they trying to put the spotlight somewhere? Well, are they, you know, it could be, or are they trying to provoke Russia into a war, seeing that our financial system is so stretched with debts and leverage? You don't know, but maybe you know, this video is gonna be censored, and I usually don't get censored by YouTube, but sometimes you need to talk about these things because they're related to the greater picture, and the finances are part of that greater picture because, you know, the fiat money system of debt and you know, money printing and, you know, keeping people indebted, that's part of the big picture. And these are really big distractions, you know, about Putin and what's going on with, you know, that event in Salisbury. And it's not to take away, I'm not trying to say that everything else is not important, but yeah, this is quite interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on things and see how President Trump reacts, because this is Rex Tillerson. How much is he linked to the deep state and the shadow government, Rex Tillerson? I don't know. We'll see what Trump's comments will be. But very interesting. Yeah, the market's yeah, still in consolidation mood, I would say. Still keep an eye on the 10-year yield. And yeah, that's it. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And you can also follow me on steemit.com and on Twitter. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.